NBC bid farewell to the Blacklist after 10 remarkable years. Filled with numerous captures of criminals and an overabundance of Raymond Reddington's mesmerizing monologues, the series came to a thrilling conclusion with a 2-hour finale on Thursday. As Red found himself being chased by the very FBI agents he had faithfully worked alongside for the past decade. The lingering question is, did Red manage to elude authorities once again? Congressman Hudson emerged as an ominous presence. Even Dem held apprehensions about him. Embracing a clean slate after joining the FBI, Dem took a significant risk by warning Reddington about the congressman's pursuit. While expressing gratitude for Dem's actions, Reddington couldn't dismiss the inherent danger it entailed. Safeguarding his loved ones remained his ultimate priority. With heartfelt goodbyes to Dem, Red set his meticulously crafted plan into motion. Fully aware of being relentlessly hunted by the FBI, he implemented various tactics to confuse and mislead them at every turn. Deliberately selecting a traceable car from Cooper's residence, he inundated the streets with identical vehicles to upend their pursuit efforts. Despite being spread thin across the city incomprehensibly, the FBI chose to disregard Cooper's team advice, leading to escalating tensions within their office. Compounding matters further was Congressman Hudson extending condolences to Ressler for the loss of his deceased friend, resulting in Ressler responding with a punch. Fortunately for Ressler, no charges were pressed against him by Congressman Hudson. Addressing this incident compelled Cooper to address his team, regardless of personal opinions regarding this predicament. Staying focused on their primary mission was paramount, capturing criminals, precisely what Reddington embodied. Throughout all these years, he had operated outside the bounds of lawfulness. Now it was time for him to face consequences, although deep down, everyone silently wished for Reddington's escape from capture. They held firm convictions that he would employ his vast wealth as means for seeking refuge elsewhere on an international scale. Having maintained close ties with him over an extended period of time rendered them confident in their ability to predict and effectively counteract each step he took. Despite eagerly extending their assistance to the FBI team tasked with apprehending Reddington, their advice remained consistently disregarded by those in positions of authority. Of course, such dismissals ultimately bore no significance since it soon became clear that Reddington had not actually departed from town at all. Instead, he shrewdly staged an elaborate facade deceiving others into believing his departure was genuine when in reality, it served only as a smokescreen for his covert activities transpiring alongside Paula, a friend and steadfast ally who remained fully cognizant of harboring a fugitive yet exhibited little concern regarding potential repercussions resulting from her involvement in such operations. Paula acted as a temporary haven for Reddington, allowing him the necessary respite to both regain energy and adroitly elude capture before successfully vanishing into thin air. By the time Dem managed to convince the FBI to grant clearance for his own crew to spearhead search efforts, Red had already craftily slipped through their fingers and seamlessly migrated towards an alternative destination unbeknownst to them. Information sourced from Paula suggested he had engaged in correspondence with none other than Andrea, a real estate agent who had assisted Reddington in a prior business transaction. Dem's astute recollection of this pivotal detail prompted him and Malik to embark on an expedition aimed at locating Andrea's current whereabouts, only to discover she had suddenly forsaken her previous obligations in favor of tending attentively to the needs of a highly regarded VIP client upon receiving short notice. Naturally, such behavior aroused substantial suspicion amongst their ranks, given its abruptness. Moreover, their certainty grew stronger upon discovering that Andrea possessed access to a key instrumental for unlocking a lockbox, therefore signaling her potential involvement in covert dealings whose implications have yet to be fully determined. Armed with this newfound knowledge, they resolved it imperative to investigate further by conducting an examination of premises tied directly with this very lockbox number, laboring under the expectation that Reddington might be present on site. Dishearteningly, though, their efforts yielded no success as they found themselves staring into flames engulfing both time and familiarity. Indeed, Red was nowhere to be found within the confines of said dwelling, now ablaze. As it turns out, he brazenly orchestrated arson within this same residence, all while ensuring his timely rendezvous with none other than a fire truck, employing it as his trusty accomplice when circumventing FBI-instated roadblocks through skillful maneuvering imbued by fleeting moments tailor-made for evading detection while simultaneously soliciting grudging admiration from law enforcement personnel. It was much later, once the fire trucks safely cleared a particular checkpoint, that Dem fully comprehended the staggering scope of what had come to pass, imparting this information to his colleagues in swift measure so as to retain cohesion amongst their ranks during this high-stakes game unfolding before their very eyes. While vigorously exerting himself towards capturing Reddington, Dem's arrival proved disappointingly belated, contributing to his inability to forge a seamless degree of camaraderie with fellow operatives given the unyielding constraints imposed by time and space itself. Meanwhile, Agent Nixon became privy to valuable intelligence implicating an individual within their own ranks responsible for surreptitiously tipping off Reddington ahead of the impending raid. Subsequently procuring assistance from a congressman, they proceeded onwards by detaining Agent Ishwood under allegations serving to implicate him as being the mole person responsible for betraying their collective objectives. With Nixon personally deciding to accompany Dem on their joint endeavor aimed at tracking down Reddington, they embarked upon this intricate course of action where stakes run high, and stakes grow increasingly fraught with danger as time presses onward. Their knowledge extended towards Red's recent appearance near the harbor as part of his ownership of fishing boats and role as a major supplier of seafood. This detail remained embedded within Dem's memory as he accompanied Nixon down to the marina in an attempt to identify which boat his friend took off on. However, it quickly became apparent that Ishwood was not the mole implicated in their investigation after all. Tracing back a phone call associated with this incident led them straight to Dem's involvement and resulted in his subsequent arrest at the hands of Nixon himself. Regrettably, they chose to overlook the guidance provided by Dem regarding Reddington, believing it to be biased. Consequently, they decided to detain Dem while pursuing alternative leads concerning Reddington's whereabouts. In a retaliatory act, Red chose to avenge the congressman by ending his life. Subsequently, he swiftly escorted Dem to the nearest available medical facility within reach. However, with the knowledge that Dem held no desire to join him any further, Red entrusted him to a nurse's care while he resumed his elusiveness amongst pursuers. Unluckily for Reddington, eliminating the congressman only managed to exacerbate his increasingly dire situation. There seemed no hiding place beyond their relentless pursuit. Adding fuel to the fire was an overzealous FBI agent hot on his trail without relenting time or effort. Though wrestlers shared an account of how the congressman met his untimely end, it was unfortunately met with doubt in Nixon's mind, instead, harboring suspicions that every team member secretly conspired to aid Reddington's escape from justice. Through tightening apprehension efforts towards everyone involved on Team Reddington came forward another witness who openly admitted accountability concerning how precisely it was ordained. The congressman himself caused his own demise in careless firearms handling. Nevertheless, this revelation failed horribly at quenching Nixon's inexorable thirst for retribution against Reddington. Quite contrarily so, he publicly vocalized not only intentions in arresting but further declared insatiable desires of bringing about his death as righteous retaliation against the congressman's murder. Upon hearing these chilling words, Herbie immediately distanced himself, wholeheartedly refusing any involvement in a criminal plot of such magnitude. At the same time, Cooper unintentionally overheard and attempted a heartfelt discourse with Nixon concerning the perilous repercussions awaiting him due to his perilous course of action. Unfortunately, instead of weighing up those said consequences, Nixon grew defensive and confrontational as he met Cooper head-on in an intense confrontation, nearly culminating in a physical altercation had it not been for timely intervention by other parties present. Unfazed and indifferent to subsequent warnings issued by Cooper and the rest of his team members, Nixon chose to disregard their advice entirely, instead opting for an independent quest to track down Reddington all by himself. Firmly believing that Reddington would be significantly weakened following Dem's blood donation, Nixon planned on combing through hospitals in hopes that he might eventually stumble upon some vital clues leading him directly toward his desired target. However, what escaped Nixon's comprehension was the depth of resilience intrinsic within Red, a man capable of enduring even gravely adverse circumstances without faltering or giving up hope easily. For despite failing to pay heed to anything else presented before him, Nixon's ear inadvertently caught on to this singular piece of information regarding Reddington's fortitude amidst those adverse circumstances. The revelation further solidified his determination to bring about his merciless end once and for all, consequently motivating him to launch secret surveillance operations targeting Cooper, as it inadvertently paved a way towards finally discovering the concealed hideout where Reddington sought refuge. Reddington was no longer present. Cooper and Malik searched, but unfortunately, they did not discover anything. Nixon, however, refused to believe their claims, convinced that they were concealing Reddington. This caused him to become increasingly paranoid and confrontational, leading him to doubt the credibility of the witness who reported the congressman shooting an unarmed black man. Meanwhile, Dem, fortunately, survived his surgery and immediately resumed assisting the FBI in their pursuit of Reddington. Cooper engaged in a discussion with the Attorney General, who declared a willingness to drop all charges against Dem in exchange for his resignation from duty as an FBI agent. Surprisingly, Dem did not mind this outcome. After all, he believed he had narrowly escaped death when he was shot by the congressman and now simply desired to enjoy his life free from such danger. The inevitable dissolution of the task force was well known among them. On this point, at least Nixon proved accurate with his prediction. Their primary goal before disbanding was to apprehend Reddington. However, Dem cautioned them that Reddington might opt for death over capture as he had made peace with this possibility. Death held no fear for him. Even being on the run again did not trouble him. He radiated tranquility despite these circumstances. In a poignant gesture, he managed to connect with his granddaughter one final time before bidding her farewell amid discussions about her personal difficulties with boys. Additionally, Reddington contacted the clinic where Dem was receiving treatment to express both remorse for leaving him behind and satisfaction with his recovery progress thus far. He promised to call again, but unfortunately, Ressler successfully tracked down Reddington's location in Spain before any further communication could occur between them. Ressler discovered that Reddington frequented a local market whenever possible, although hindered by language barriers initially relayed by the deceitful maid at a nearby house. Eventually it became apparent that Reddington made deliveries to a guest house situated behind the main residence. Ressler returned to the property, where he made a discovery of Red's belongings, albeit without finding Red himself. According to the maid, Red had taken a walk across the hills, in collaboration with local law enforcement. Ressler opted for a helicopter ride to aid in their search and eventually came across Reddington's lifeless body. In light of these events, he made the decision to venture out of his own volition. Engaging in a struggle with a bull proved fatal for him, thus culminating in the disbandment of the task force.